Hey there, everybody. Welcome to this week's Coach and Cruise podcast, live stream, all that other good stuff. We got a good show for you. We're going to talk about the Giants hitting woes. I think we talk about it weekly, but this week, Cruz and I are going to talk about how we would fix the Giants if we were hitting coaches or just kind of the general fans that we are. Uh, Cruz has a bunch of fun stats about Major League Baseball. I want to talk a little bit about the Niners' moves this week with special team stuff and adding new players. And I want to pick your brain, Cruz, on the NFL and flag football. And the take I have is, and I don't want to start with this, but I want you to think about this. How it could ruin high school football if the NFL guys are playing flag football. So I'll set you up for that kind of stuff here as we get to that topic. But how's everything going on your end? And how's the weather? It was hot,
Yeah,
hot.
yeah, we had. It's kind of funny because it's like a 2 day little heat spell that we have. We had, I think it was like 97 or 96 yesterday in San Jose, and then my friend was driving home back to Hollister, and he was like, "Number one, it's going to take me 40 minutes to go 12 miles, and number two, it is currently 103 degrees in Gilroy, as you know, driving." South down 101, you go through San Jose, which is generally pretty mild. Then you get to Morgan Hill, it starts to heat up, and then when you get into the Gilroy area, man, it is hot, hot, hot. We have, I think we're like in the high 80s today, and then we have like pretty much perfect weather starting tomorrow. We have like 5 days in a row we're around 80 degrees. But it's funny because we are so used to mild temps, and we're so fortunate that everybody that was at my work yesterday, we had the AC going, and it's hot outside, so we're pretty busy because people just want to get out of the heat. We had this 1 day little heat wave, and everybody freaks out, and everybody's sweating as they're walking in. So yeah, we got some pretty warm weather. So we got, I think, like an 88 is the high today. I'm sure you guys might be a little harder than us, I'm sure.
Well, down in the Roseville area, just north and east of Sacramento, it was blazing. I didn't check the temperature yesterday. It was weird. Last evening, it was super warm. It had that summer like
Yeah.
vibe, like night hot. Doesn't matter that the
Mm-hmm.
sun was down. But I think it's already kind of breaking, which is nice. We can hold off on that stuff for a while, that heat. So let's jump into the Giants talk and your stats. You're talking about Otani and Judge here before we came on. Where these guys are doing miraculous things on the bases and at the plate, the Giants aren't. So do a little comparison for us listeners, the listeners here and the viewers.
Yeah, I was just taking a look because the Yankees are in LA playing the Dodgers, so I kind of I realized that Otani, who's a great pitcher, and he's not even pitching, so you got that going. His really excellence to be able to not pitch, which is probably what he's most known for, and to be able to just hit and be able to do what he's doing. The benchmark uh, stuff for baseball players as hitters is to score 100 runs in a year. So if you score 100 runs in 162 games, that's really, really good. And he's on pace at this point to, I think at the total, I did the math, it was like 175 runs. He's also hitting around 300. He's got 23 homers. And then you got Aaron Judge on the other side, who plays a position, and he's hitting 395 with like 22 homers, and he's got 60 RBIs. He's on pace to have like 60 home runs and 175 RBIs while still hitting around 400, which is impressive. You got guys like that, and you see the things like that, and I don't even know if we're going to hit 60 home runs as a team. If you really, I mean, that's kind of crazy if you think of it like that. And you got guys like Aaron Judge, and not only do they have Aaron Judge over in New York, but they have like Bellinger and some of these other guys are going to hit 25, 30 home runs as well. So it just kind of puts you in that mood, like, we need help, and we need help quickly if we're going to turn this thing around. Because as I talked about before, the slide is starting to happen. We're only 7 games over 500, and we're one bad streak of being back to that 500 club, which we were talking about, which we need to stay away from. And it's completely our batch. Just like last night we talked about pre-pod today. us winning the game last night, but not very impressively. We won 2-0 on the road and to a team that we should probably pound. So it's been tough, man. Hard to watch.
The question is, getting serious. We kind of joke around a lot and hope that these guys will get out of their slumps and whatever as a team. But as a player who played at a super high level, what did some of your coaches, maybe the batting coach or just the general coach and even the manager, obviously, what were some of the things you guys did either individually to get yourself out of a slump, or, was there any things like as a team that you guys did to try and change the ways and get the bats going?
Me personally, the thing that changed for me when I got out of college and I went to professional baseball, and it's crazy how this all came up. I was at my first spring training with the Texas Rangers, and the minor league guys and the big league guys are separate, but you're also in the same building. So you can see we had guys, which was kind of cool for me. We had Alex Rodriguez, we had Rafael Palmeiro, we had Juan Gonzalez, we had Michael Young on that team. So what they would do is I saw Alex Rodriguez, who I found at the time I was a fan of him. He's a really good player. But he had the most rigorous regimen every day where he had the same exact thing that he would do. He would start with like key work and then go to front toss and then so I was like, wow, I don't do any of these things. I just kind of, okay, we're going to hit batting practice. I'm going to hit batting practice and then we're going to play a game. I'm going to play a game. I needed to, especially me being a routine-based kind of guy, I came up with a routine that I did every single day. And so when I was slumping, I would make sure that I was giving myself that ample time if I had to get there like 7 o'clock game, I'd get there at 1 o'clock and have the hitting coach come out with me and work on some stuff, make sure I'm seeing the ball well, getting some extra swings before we actually go into stretch and then go onto the field before we hit BP. And just making sure you're like mentally focused and mentally ready. I always thought for myself, a lot of guys enjoy playing day games more than night games because you see the ball better, stuff like that. Me personally, I like playing night games because I was able to get into my routine pre-game where I can show up at 2 o'clock, go to the cage, do like an hour of cage work, get back inside, cool down, and then we go out and stretch at 4 o'clock, hit BP, go back and eat. Whereas like they call it show and goes when you're playing like a 1 o'clock game where you're kind of just on your own, you're not hitting BP in the field. And I always found that those games were more difficult for myself because I didn't feel like I got my full routine in. I didn't have like the time that I needed that was allowed to make myself ready and feel loose when because I felt a lot of times in those day games, like my first AB, I was just kind of like feeling it out. Whereas like in a night game for myself, after having been there for 4 or 5 hours, I was like really loose and really ready to go. I'm not sure what's going on with the Giants. I think that we need to be more aggressive offensively. To try to push the envelope. And like we were talking before, we had a game on Wednesday where we had second, third, 1 out, and we had second, third, nobody out. And I don't know of many big league teams that are going to take a guy and try to push bunt to the right side with the man on third to try to steal a run. They're trying to hit those guys in and get 2 runs. And then there you go. We lose by 1 run and we lose the game. So, there's a lot going on. They were talking about like Marco Luciano, who's in AAA, taking ground balls at first base. He's never played a game at first in his life. I would much rather see us go out and get a guy like we were talking about pre-trade deadline before other people are trying to get these guys that are going to be traded. Let's go out and be the first team to get a left-handed bat potentially to play first base instead of they're trying to look within. I just don't think within is what we need to do if we're going to get be an offensive type of ball club that's going to score more than 2-3 runs a game, which we're doing now.
So all that routine stuff that you're doing, when you actually had a slump, if the, whatever, your slump might've been a week versus, a month, did the routine get you out of it? Or were there things that did you try and like hit the ball the other way? What, did you have certain triggers that a coach, manager,
I think what happens
gave you pointers or whatever?
Yeah, I think a lot of teams, and a lot of players, when you are slumping as a player, we'll go as a player first. Is if you look at some of your because all that stuff's being filmed and everything, like are you getting good pitches to hit, right? Or are we just up there? You you might try to hit the ball the other way. I wasn't really like hit the ball the other way guy. I was like trying to hunt a good fastball and be aggressive to that pitch. You see a lot of guys. You when you're slumping, you always feel like you have 2 strikes on you, right? You could be like 8 for 12 and having a great series, and you feel like I'm always in plus counts, meaning 2-1, 3-2, 2-0, 1-0. Whereas when you're slumping, it's like, wow, we're already back to 1 and 2 again. I got 2 strikes on me again. So then you start to feel the pressure of, I got to put this ball in play. We need runs here. And so that's what kind of happened with me. I would try to swing early in counts, try to hunt the first fastball I got and try to hit the ball, to the big part. I always call it the big part of the yard. I'm talking about from light pole to light pole, stay through the middle of the field. That's what I kind of did. I never really had like an 0 for 32 kind of deal, but I've had like a bunch of, 2 or 3 games where I'd be 1 for 12. For me personally, it was always like, just try to get in plus counts, try to see fastballs, and try to stay to the middle of the field. And I just don't think the Giants do a really good job of it, man. It's pretty hard to watch too.
Were there things that maybe as a team, if you're scuffing a little bit, I've heard of like not taking batting practice. Now it might be different at the lower levels, but like an everyday thing in a major league, psychologically, you're talking strategically for yourself. But if it's so bad, you think of the Bull Durham clip, the movie Bull Durham, where they talk about having a rain out. They need a rain out because they need a day off. They played so many. Now it might have not been a slump, just maybe that was a winning streak thing. But and then they go fake not giving away the movie too much here over 30 years ago, but they get the rain out, and obviously then in movie Hollywood style, they start going on a winning streak and all that stuff. So is that kind of stuff that's a little cheesy, but were there little things like that? Hey, we're not or how about this one, benching a guy?
Yeah.
Maybe it's angry. Hey, sit down. You're not hitting.
Yeah.
Like get your, things that like, hey, I'm going to piss this guy off a little bit. And obviously it depends on how the person is and could take it. Maybe, that whole team coach dynamic, but versus like, hey, I'm going to bench you or sit you down today because you're scuffing, and let you think about it a little bit, versus like sitting him down with authority and having the player be a little bit pissed off at the manager, and then that's right, you're not very good right now, and then boom, you put him right back in like a day later and see what that does.
When you're scuffling, not only do you know it, but your coaching staff knows it as well, right? I'm all about that. And when I was scuffling, you just almost knew that the way it works in pro ball, like you'll walk into the clubhouse and the lineup is posted right when you walk in. They do it early. And so if you're scuffling, the hitting coach knows it, the manager knows it. And I was always like, hey, man, I know I'm scuffling. I'm scuffling. I was the guy that played every day. It's kind of a good mental day. Like, let's just give me a day where I can just sit back, watch the game, enjoy myself. Maybe late in the game, get a pinch hit, try to get that 1 for 1. You get that late AB with the man in scoring position and try to kind of pick you back up. So what they'll do, and I'm really surprised because it seems like they play Adames every single game. I wouldn't mind give him a day, man. Let him get like a mental recharge, like a break, and then bring him back in the following day, and hopefully that kind of revitalizes him. And sometimes we need that, not just your days off where you're not playing at all, but it's good to just sit and watch the game. Maybe watch a guy who's doing really, really well, who's like on a pretty good little hitting streak. See what he's doing, see what the counts he's getting in, see what kind of pitches he's swinging at. And then that might get you back in your groove. And it doesn't take a long time. Once it's kind of weird. It's kind of like a mental, all sports are this way. You can be 0 for 25 and all of a sudden you go 3 for 4 and all of a sudden it's gone, right? It only takes like that one day where all of a sudden it's like, okay, I'm back now. I'm getting good pitches to hit. Now I can move forward from there. But yeah, it's tough when you have, it's one thing when you have one guy scuffling, but it's tough when you got 6 or 7 guys scuffling, because then you're really trying to like figure out what can we do to push some runs across and get guys chances to score runs.
Do you also think it's a little bit of the opposite? Like something like this goes on for so long in the Giants' case this year, that you're trying too hard, right? If you
Oh
talk,
yeah,
if you
without a
think
doubt.
about that, and,
Hmm.
and as a group, you're probably constantly, I don't know, again, the locker room, I've never been in that at that level, but almost apologizing to the pitching staff, or hey, keep it up, guys, because you know we're terrible right now. Have some humility in it or something. Like, you gotta, I can't imagine the different tricks and things that they're trying to do right now,
Yeah,
just to try and get out of it. And
let's
again,
just say
that might be too much, is my point.
right. Yeah, well, let's just say this, and because the position players and the pitchers are like, we're all on the same team, but like we're two separate units. Let's just say on the Giants team that the pitchers aren't talking to the hitters too much right now, because the idea is this: I think we're first in every single pitching category besides one, and I think we're second in that category. Um, that's going to break, right? You can only give up 2 runs and win ball games for so long before it breaks, and all of a sudden the pitchers start knowing, well, shit, I better throw a gem here because we're only going to get 2 or 3 runs or 1 run, and that in turn makes it harder for them to throw strikes to get outs because they know mentally, if I give up a 3 or 4 spot in the fourth inning, which is something that normal teams can come back from, we're not coming back from that. We're not having those
Well,
5 run big innings.
and I'm wondering, in a way, kind of strangely, right, if a game gets away from one of the starters, so there's a few innings to make the comeback. Like, you don't really know much about the Giants, right? Because of that. These games,
Mhm.
strangely enough, have been like the same thing, like every day, right?
Mhm.
So are they a team that they give up a couple runs in the seventh or eighth, but they're still in striking distance to at least tie it or whatever? And it's like, you don't even know if they're a comeback team. Are they late? Do they make late comebacks? Do they? Because right now it's like, hope to get a run. Pitchers are like, I have updates on my phone, and it's the updates. It just tells me the score. It's like the CBS app. And my phone, when a Giants game is on, doesn't do
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, are they even playing still? And then I
Is there
look.
is there a rain delay?
I have to go look, and it's like, oh, the score is still 2-0 that it was in the second inning as the game goes on, and then they win, and I'm like, oh my god, and low scoring games are cool. That means there's good pitching or whatever. But it's like, I want my phone to be blown up, because every time they score, I get an update, and the
Yeah, there
phone
was
is
a
just that just doesn't happen anyway.
start. I think it was Logan Webb's 2 starts ago. I was at work. A bunch of I got a lot of people that are my regulars that come in and watch baseball with me because they know I'm a baseball guy. I'm a Giants fan. Blah blah blah. Obviously, I'm gonna have the game on. I'm gonna have the sound on. All that kind of stuff. Logan Webb gives up like a 4 spot in the second or third inning. I'm like, oh, this is over. And they look at me like, we still have 6 more chances to hit. I'm like, yeah, game's over. And it was. It was. I think he's like 5-4 with like a 2.8 ERA. It's absurd. And ERA earned runs allowed. It's very low. And I'm telling you right now, these pitchers that when they're starting and they give up a 2 or 3 spot, just like I'm saying it, they're feeling it, and they know. All of a sudden, you can say as a fan, now we have 18 more outs, we got 6 more shots at this thing, and then all of a sudden, an hour later, we're in the 7th inning with the same fucking score, and we're not going to score those runs. And now, if they added on to that lead, we're dead, and we have been dead. Those games,
Well,
we haven't come back and scored a 5 spot in the 8th inning of any game that I've seen this year. It's just not
well,
going to
and
happen
that's the
with the
thing.
way we play.
At some point, if it gets in the pitcher's head a little bit that they're not scoring, not
Mm-hmm.
just the single guy, but like the pitching staff, and I give up a little bit, then that's you're talking about the slump, the getting staying too close to 500. If you start losing games, a lot of games, because now your pitchers are overthinking it because the hitters aren't hitting, and so I don't know. I think that it's if you want to put it on people, if the hitting coach is not doing it as well as he could versus like the pitching coach doing tremendous job, there's that. It's just the balance of that squad is so off right now. And the thing is like, they're winning enough. If they could figure it out at some point, which is maybe the good thing that the season's so long. Because how dangerous would they be if they could just score like 4 or 5 runs a game?
Yeah, I
They'd
mean,
be,
you see this, and I like Bob Melvin. I think you've talked to you like Bob Melvin as well too. Here's the thing: you go watch like a Yankees lineup or a Dodgers lineup or the Tigers, who are really good right now too. 18 games over 500. Their lineup is the same every day. And you know what we're doing? We can't score a run, so you see all of a sudden Jung-Hoo Lee is hitting in the 3-hole. Well, Jung-Hoo Lee is a great player. He is a leadoff guy. And we're that's how you know we're scuffling, because he's got, 7 different lineups for 10 different games. And those guys, Aaron Boone and Dave Roberts, you can pencil in. I could pencil in their lineup. I can look at their last 10 games, and you can just look up and down their lineup, and he's just writing in who's playing where and who's pitching that particular day, and he's putting it up on that wall when they walk into the locker room. Whereas our guys, it's like, okay, I might have hit 8th yesterday. I might be hitting 2nd today, because we got guys that, Adames, who's supposed to be a $180 million shortstop, who's hit, I think he's only hitting like 210 right now, and he's not hitting for power. And that stuff kind of gets to you. And here's another thing that we haven't really talked about. As a hitter and as a position player, if you're scuffling on offense, it affects your defense quite a bit, man. Because don't think that when you're on defense that you're not thinking about your at bat, or that you had a guy on second and third with nobody out and you didn't get him in, and now you're playing defense, and all of a sudden the ball's hit at you, but you're still thinking about your at bat that you just had 5 minutes ago, and now maybe you're a step to your right slower, or you should have charged the ball that you didn't. Matt Chapman, who's one of the best third basemen we have, he booted a ball going forward, the play that he makes all the time. And it's funny because one of my customers is like, wow, I haven't seen him make that error in a long time. I'm like, well, don't think that like our offensive woes and his offensive woes don't play a part in that, because it does. They always say don't bring your offense to your defense, but psychologically and mentally, it just naturally happens, and that's probably what's happening a little bit too.
well, and that's kind of going back to the coaching side of things. It's like, besides what they're trying to do with the lineup and all that other stuff, you gotta, in a way, Melvin's probably doing a good job keeping it together at this point so far. Because it's like, I find sometimes when I watch baseball, like a really good team makes it to the playoffs, and the playoff baseball is more strategic, and managers really kind of show themselves. And this is the potential like coach of the year situation for Melvin, just because of if the Giants ends up turning this thing around, because you've got to handle like what you're talking about, the ups and downs of your team, the psychological stuff that you're talking about with offense and defensive errors and off of that stuff. So that's the tough part of the coach, is like, okay, you're focusing on so many things, and you have a really glaring error, and it's like, how do you keep the rest of it together?
Yeah,
When
I think
one part of your team is.
Also, I would like to look this up, and maybe I'll look it up this week when we get off the pod and bring it up next week. I'd like to know because you hear a lot when it comes to like playoff time, like how are you in 1-run ball games? Like, what's your record in 1-run ball games? I would venture to guess ours, because we have so many of them because they're so low scoring. What's our record in those 1-run ball games? I don't think it's probably very good. And number 2 is, after the 7th inning, how many times have you come back from being in a deficit of however many runs it was, and come back and win those games? And I would say our record in those games aren't very good. We haven't won a lot of those games either. So if we're going to be the way we are currently, which I hope, as we talk about, we hope it changes, can we win those 1-run games? Number one, how long can that last for? And then late in games, 7th, 8th, 9th inning, when it's crunch time and you got the starter out of the game, can you get to that reliever and get that extra 2 runs to get your lead and get the win? So those 2 things I think are super important. If we're going to be a team that doesn't score a lot of runs, which it looks like this is what it's going to be, we're going to need to win those 1-run games, and we're going to need to win those games late in games after the 7th inning. And currently, we're not doing a very good job of those either.
I agree, but hopefully, if the weather heats up, the bats heat up. But let's move on. I want to jump into another big topic that I want to spend a little time on, and that's the NFL talking about putting NFL players into the Olympics to play flag football. First of all, on that note, just that part of it, what do you think of that
Uh,
overall?
utter blasphemy is what comes to me. NFL players are tackle football players. Um, Flag football is meant for 7-year-olds to 12-year-olds. It should not be an Olympic sport. I don't. It's like a 7-on-7 thing. Like you know much more about this. You guys do that in the spring. It doesn't excite me at all. I'm not a. I don't know, man. I feel bad for saying this. I know the Olympics is a big deal for a lot of people. Um, it's great to play for your country. All those things are great. But would you rather, Brad? Would you rather in your sport? We'll call your sport is football. Would you rather win a Super Bowl or win the gold medal in a flag football event for your
Well,
country?
here's the thing. I don't even need to answer, but because it's so obvious. But here's the thing with that, right? NHL players play ice hockey, right? I think they're even going back to the Olympics. Way different, in my opinion, because the sport
It's the
is
same.
hockey. So if you have college players doing it or NHL, whatever. Heck,
The game has
because
not
the other
changed. The game didn't change. It's still hockey.
correct. So that kind of stuff, having pro people in the Olympics is, basketball is the same way, right? And they bring it, but in a way they're kind of comparing like bringing NFL. It's like the dream team and all, and I'm like, no, okay. Here's another one. You have like pro golfers, golf in the Olympics, right? Uh, they treat that pretty seriously, as
Oh, yeah.
winning that tournament is winning a gold medal. I mean, that how cool is that? There's probably not many medal winning men or women like in golf ever, because it just, what I mean, like that. You want to talk about the ultimate major? I mean, literally
Yeah.
every 4 years you're playing. So if you win a gold in golf, I don't know how long it's been in the Olympics. I don't think very
It's
long.
been two cycles.
Okay. So like you're one of the few people in the world. I mean, to me, that's super prestigious.
Yeah.
Winning a flag football, anything is kind of a joke. I mean, it's a cool sport, but when you go out in the weekends or you play on Thanksgiving with your drunk friends and family, and you're calling that, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's not really the angle I wanted to take, but it's kind of showing that I don't know what we're doing. Let the random flag football leagues that are out there let those guys go in there. And to me, when you talk about winning like an NFL champion, a Super Bowl versus a gold medal or whatever, like those guys that are just off the street that play the sport at a high level, let them go at it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd rather watch Joe Schmo
Mm-hmm.
going for a gold than having Mahomes at quarterback for the Olympic team.
Yeah. I mean, the idea is this. Like, I think what happened, and you can kind of see it going into this direction when the Pro Bowl went to flag football, right? Because
Now we're starting to talk.
now our guys, so they went from playing tackle football, and it was an okay watch way back in the day. I kind of, when it was like in Hawaii and they were playing tackle football, I would sort of follow it, right? And when they moved it to this flag game, I'm not sure who's watching it. It's not. They're joking around. They're doing all this crazy plays. They're not playing. My point is, and then what you said, they're not playing the sport that they're playing normally. It's a whole different game. Tackle football and flag football is not the same deal. And so I don't know how many guys, the Mahomes of the world and all these other guys, how many of those guys would actually play in the Olympics and to actually, I mean, maybe they would take it seriously, but I don't have all the sports you said, the NHL and golf especially, and baseball. It's super competitive. I don't see the NFL going to play the Olympics being super competitive. I mean, if we throw our best guys out there, who in the world is going to beat us?
Well, and the
I mean, I
thing
just don't see
is that think about it, right? You take us, basically, the United States plays football. Everyone else tries. Um, we go out there. Our guys, I'm talking NFL guys, they go out there. They don't care that much,
Nope.
let's just say, because they're really good. And some slap team from Spain beats them, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's no value to it. It'd be like, an
Yeah, there's
NFL
no
team
benefit.
beating us.
There's no benefit for us. Zero.
You
It's
if you win, you're supposed to. If you lose, it's like a humongous joke. And I think it's like a money grab, an eyeball grab. But I mean, there's so many angles with that side of it. But my angle is
yeah.
this: you start playing flag football and showing the world that you're playing flag football, and you get all these kids fired up to play flag football. There's going to be high school associations that start playing flag football with
Mm-hmm.
boys,
Mm-hmm.
which is cool. I don't I wouldn't mind that, but when you start this whole shift towards what you're talking about with the NFL going with the Pro Bowl flag, now all these kids potentially that could have played tackle football
Mm-hmm.
play flag because mommies are told that, football players
It's,
get concussions and CTE and da 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 down the line, and your flag football, your tackle football goes the way of the dinosaur, and I'm talking fast.
yeah.
And then that leads to another issue, right? The NFL promoting all this stuff, but now your feeder system, the high schools and the college, you have less players playing because now they're all playing flag, and your NFL product turns into like a UFL product. Do you see what I'm
Yeah.
talking about? Like you're
That's the scary. Yeah. As a NFL, I'm a baseball guy, but I almost like watching football more as I've gotten older, and to see that going in that direction scares the living shit out of me because that's not what I want. I mean, how we always talk about, I think there was like, I watched a thing, it's like only 15 more Sundays until opening day. Like, I'm starting to like get pumped up. You got training camp coming up, you got your guys, your senior guys that you draft to get out there and start playing. Like, I'm excited for week one of the NFL, just I'm sure you are. And I don't want to see it go that direction because it would lose me, and I don't want it to lose me because I enjoy watching football. Well, I watch football every Sunday on my couch. I got the Red Zone channel. Me and you are texting back and forth. It's my day off. I don't want to lose that because I love watching football from 10 a.m. until 8 p.m. on Sundays. Looking forward to the Monday night game. If there's some good matchups, what game am I watching in the afternoon? All that kind of stuff. If that was to ever go away, I don't know what I would do because I've been doing it for so
well,
long.
and my take is obviously kind of outlandish, over the top, if you want to call it that. But man, being in the high school setting, in a school setting, let alone school and sports, you have administrators, you have decision makers that they don't make the decision based on you sitting on your
Mm-hmm.
couch on Sunday. The
Right.
fan, they make it off of money, obviously, and the safety and all that other stuff. And if they could turn a flag football event like the Pro Bowl, but have a league or something that's exciting enough that gets the eye somehow. I'm not saying it's you could do it, but like I bet that's in their mind. But man, there's just something about visceral, right, about football. Guys going a million miles an hour, crushing into people, even though they've taken some of that away. Um, the game's still pretty good. It'd be like everybody would probably turn to UFC or something if they aren't already watching. It's just it's human nature, in my opinion, to watch people like combative. And flag football is like
And all it takes, like you said, yeah, like you said, though, all it takes like a couple administrators and some crazy parents that don't know what they're talking about to shift this thing, especially at the high school level, in that direction. And people that, to be honest, Brad, they have no idea what they're talking about. And you see it all the time. You especially see it all the time since you teach at a high school and you coach at a high school. It takes a couple crazy parents to have some outlandish idea that, oh, this is going to change. Oh, this is so good because little Johnny can play now and he's not going to get injured. Well, that's not what football is. And so if you don't want to do it, then don't play it. But you shouldn't change the whole outlook of what tackle football is, because the real football guys, the guys that are playing tackle football to get to that next level, whether it's junior college or Division I somewhere, it doesn't take that many people to mess it up for everyone, and now you got everybody pissed off at everybody, and then it just goes shitty from there, right? That's just kind of the idea I see.
No, and that's the thing, and you know, uh, I think people think that stuff could coexist. I mean, bringing girls flag football in, I think, is a perfect thing to do. The growth of the sport. I think there's a huge push a couple years ago, especially in California. They fast tracked that to be a sport, a CAF sanctioned sport. Reason being, though, they knew the Olympics were in California here in 2028. And I guarantee you 100% that's the reason they did it. Now, not to say that it wouldn't have been a sport eventually as well, but I saw this coming down the pipe 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That they were pushing.
We talked about this on our previous pod. We talked about this. I think we had a guest,
and
one of your buddies. We talked about it.
Yeah, and so it's one of those things where that's great, but you start leaning and gleaning into things. I mean, there's talk, right? There's schools that are doing things where, instead of the JV football game being played before the varsity game, it's now the girls' varsity flag. And again, I don't think that's bad. I think you just got to do it the right way, because if you start squeezing the footballs together, like you said, it's not the same. Like, am I going to go get there early and watch the girls' flag football game before the varsity game? Like,
no,
I think the parents will.
Yeah, it's called Friday Night Lights for a reason, right? And I'm not big on changing something that's not broken. I would rather, and this is a crazy take, but like, I would rather, if you want to make a Olympics a flag football event, make it a women's event.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's no women's NFL. Like, I don't want to see our best players that play tackle football go play flag football for a gold medal. I'd like to see, if it was women, I think that'd be a cool event. Actually, I'm not sure if they're doing that or not, but like, because you're changing the outlook of what the sport is intended to be, and when you change it, like they've already started doing with the Pro Bowl, you're changing football, man. Like, it's already been changed enough, and like you said, they're changing the rules so you can't take each other's head off as much as they used to. They were just showing clips of like old guys and how they used to, Howie Long and all these guys hitting guys. They've already done that, and I think it's because of all the concussions and the CT and all that stuff, which is fine. I'm good with that. I think the product, like you said, on an NFL Sunday is still very, very fun to watch, very good to watch. It's a great product, but don't change the whole dynamic of the sport and get people all over the world to watch our NFL players who play tackle football to go play flag football to win a gold medal. It would absolutely mean nothing to me. And I guarantee you're not going to get everyone that wants to do it. And in turn, like, you're going to get a gold medal for a sport you don't even play.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, too, that you talk about players. You could have the third string quarterback on any NFL team be the gold medal flag football. You know what I'm saying? You don't need the star player. You could take the special teams gunner. He turns into the wide receiver number one. He never gets on the field at all for the team that he's on, which is whatever. And he's a superstar in this. It's almost like a circus sideshow that they want to do, instead of, it's like, I don't know. I feel like it's that side of it. It's also like you start getting those eyeballs on it, and people go, why can't you do it in high school? And they go, hey, that's a good idea, which you could have flag football for boys in high school. I think you could do that. But if you start like, hey, why are we doing this? And the tackle one, man, the kids are this, that, and the other. They're getting hurt. It's expensive, right? The equipment, it's because truly is that all the equipment's getting more expensive, and the schools are having to pay for like the reconditioning, the helmet, like all that stuff that people don't know about. All your pads every year have to get literally everything out of your shed, sent to a place. They look at them all, make sure they're not broken. They certify them and they send them back. Big trucks go to every high school and every, at least in California, ship them back to you. You put them back in your shed, and you're handing all that stuff out. And, besides that, your uniform cost, football is very expensive, and flag football, it's flags and some jerseys and some
Cleats.
cones and a little, and so if people start doing the math in the school cost cutting ways that every, school seems to want to do, is find a way to, make things cheaper. They're going, this is genius, right? And we have a lot of kids that are playing this sport, and not to mention another there's one football field that your band's fighting for, that your other teams, whatever's playing, they want to practice on it. Flag football's got to practice on it. Boys flag, like, you'd have to have another field, I don't know, or you'd have to have field space, but everybody actually wants to get onto the actual field. So I mean, there's just so many things that could come up. And, anytime you add something, it disrupts, you know, the other stuff that's happening. But I just feel like if you start bleeding that into it and getting into the minds, it's going to take, some lawmaker, somebody who's never played before, or got wind from a disgruntled parent or something, that, hey, we should do this instead of that because of whatever. And, tackle football just ends up kind of drifting away. We talk about it in kind of a hush circles of, like, if it's not the flag football thing, it's other things that make football go away. Again, for some of the stuff I said, for how much it costs and other things. So I don't like that they're thinking about doing this, but I mean, if it's going to get eyeballs and make them money, I don't think they care what I think.
Right. I mean, they definitely don't care what we think, but I just I just don't want them to change the dynamic of what football is. It's gotten changed enough, and I like where it's at currently. Let's just keep it where it's at. I was even thinking, like, back in the day when they had the whole dream team thing, and it was like the USA was so much better than everybody else in basketball in the Olympics. Well, now, because of all the European countries, and you see that the influence in the NBA, when we just won the gold medal game, we were down late before Curry went bananas at the end there. That was fun to watch because it was competitive.
Oh, for
And
sure.
because it was it's competitive, and B, it's still the same sport. Now they changed the rules to the FIBA rules, and they've used a different ball. That's all well and good. It's still the nature of the game is still the, which with its intention is still the same. If you're going to throw flag football in there for males and make it an Olympic sport, you're breaking the sport. It's not tackle football.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not the same sport,
Let's stay on that sport of football. And what do you think of the Bryce Huff thing, taking him from the Eagles? It seems like that's going to happen. Getting another edge guy, is it just, every time Salah's around, we seem to either draft or pull a bunch of defensive ends. What do you think of the move?
I think it's crazy. We've talked about this in length over the course of our podcast history, how we were thinking, like, oh, we're going to go. This was like, when free agency opened up and we were kind of stagnant, didn't do much. It's kind of crazy to see what we did in the draft, which we agreed. We thought we did a really good job with what we did on our draft picks. But now it's like the post, initial free agency period, and we're starting to add pieces. That Huff guy got a motor on him, dude, and he can help us. And so I think that's all. I think you hit around the head. I think it's all Salah based, man. Salah's in there. Salah's a high energy dude. He wants to change the culture back to the way it was when he was there, where he's on the sidelines and he's ripping dudes and he's got the veins coming out of his bald head and he's like super into it. I think the way we drafted and what we're doing post draft with these free agents is a direct effect of what Robert Saleh brings to the 49ers.
I also think, right, you drafted one, you lost so many players that I don't think they people realize that how many pieces are missing on the defensive line. So to me, it's not like it's why are they doing that? Like, oh, why are they doing that? Because they have so many guys. It's no, that D line was terrible. So anybody who's worth their weight in salt, right, is a good move in my opinion. And then he's what 10 sacks the last time he played for Sala. So I don't know. I don't know if I'm buying into that. It's because you played for a certain coach that you got 10 sacks, but there's a little bit of that to it. If you're having a guy who's going off, you kind of find ways to keep him going and doing great things for you. But you know, um, I like the move. I think that I'm hoping they're doing more. I don't know who that would be and where, what position, but that kind of leads into a little bit of the Ricky Pearsall injury. You talk about them not having tons of wide receiver depth per se, or unproven talent, and then another injury for the Niners that is just unbelievable. It's like I don't get in these OTAs and whatever, like throw the guy a ball, like let him get off the line, make his moves, do whatever, catch a ball. Like I don't know when he got hurt, but are we just like running these guys to death, or like how is it? This is my question. How is it that all these guys train their ass off? The world class athletes. They train, and then when they go, these guys get hurt when they're actually playing in like their training camp or whatever. They're doing all this off-season stuff at a high school or a college or some training facility, working with other NFL players from other teams or just a trainer, whatever, moving like crazy every day, probably a couple times a day. And you don't hear about an injury there. And then when they get to their camp, they do something to themselves. And it seems like it's probably not just the Niners, but it's like, is it the Niners coaches forcing them to catch the ball and sprint 20 yards down the field after they catch? I mean, I don't get how we get guys hurt in non-contact stuff. It just
without
absolutely
without
blows my mind.
without pads. It should be. I almost would take that like sort of view. Like it's like maybe you watch maybe in other camps you're running your route, you're coming out of your break, you're catching the ball, and then you kind of maybe take a couple hard steps and you shut it down. Maybe they're making them go run it out, right? I don't know, but it seems like
Yeah.
every single season this is like a thing that's happening. That's why there's two that keeps coming up, and I hope. And I always read the stuff. The Niners may be linked to this player, and a lot of it's bullshit, obviously, because people are just wanting to talk and want people to hear what they have to say. We need wide receiver help. There's two guys. One guy I'm more fond of than the other, but I would take either one of them. The two guys are Amari Cooper, who doesn't have a really good track record of being healthy either. But the guy I like the most because of his veteran leadership and because of he's been around and he doesn't seem to get hurt a lot is Keenan Allen. I really would like to have big-bodied guy who runs good routes, has been in the league for a long time, who is a free agent, who probably wouldn't have to get a huge deal to come over here. Until we get Ayuk back, I think they said it was like week 11 was like the target date for him to come back. And you got guys like Pearsall who have only been in the league 1 year and who's probably, what's Pearsall, 22 years old? And he's getting injured already in camp, and he has a history of getting hurt. That stuff doesn't go away for those players. So,
well, the thing is that, his injury last year obviously was
right.
not
Fluky.
his fluke. Yeah. But it's like you said, it's kind of like, even with Ayuk, he holds out, then gets hurt. It's like when you're out and you come and Ayuk's proven, obviously he's proven to be a good player, but Pearsall, it's like one of those things, good college, obviously first round draft pick, but it's like you need NFL snaps, my friend, like in games in the season.
It's funny because you're obviously, when you sent me the text the other night, I hadn't seen, I was at work and I hadn't seen that he got injured. And so the day before, like I was reading these stupid things online because that's what we do. It was like, is Pearsall ready to be the wide receiver one for the 49ers? And then the next day you sent me the text. I'm like, no. he is not ready to be our wide receiver one. You just answered my question. I'm like, for a moment there, I was thinking like, maybe he could be. And then you sent me the thing about his hamstring. I'm like, oh, that changes it. Now let's go back to the drawing board and let's get a veteran guy who's been in the league a long time, who's 30 plus years old, who doesn't get hurt.
Yeah, I don't. I'm at a loss. I'm trying to, as you talk, read. Yeah, I mean, with Ayuk, you don't even know when he's coming back. Like they're just, are you going to sit there and have these other guys that they draft? That'd be great if they stepped up. That'd be awesome, but
you just don't know, right? You don't know. You don't know. Guys that are in year one, year two that don't have a lot of NFL snaps, what they can do. Where as you go get like a Amari Cooper, and I'm not huge on Amari Cooper, but we got to get somebody, and a guy that's been in the league who's a proven guy. That's why I lean like Keenan Allen, big-bodied guy. You can throw the ball in spaces and he can go get it. Runs good routes, physical, doesn't really get hurt all that often, and he's willing to play through injury, all that kind of stuff. So I think we need to add a veteran guy. I think you're going to see us probably do that, and I hope it's Keenan Allen.
What do you think on a slightly different Niner take? The getting rid of the punter, is it? Wisniewski, they picked up a different guy who's got like a 2 yard more like average on his punts. I mean, is
Thomas
it
Morstead?
Morstead, yes. So is that contract related? Because if you can get cheaper in a kicking position, that's great. Or is it time? Like, hey, you've been here. Is the other guy better?
Yeah, well, here's what happens. I think, especially with like the special teams unit, especially kicking, you have a guy for X amount of years, and he was pretty good, and getting guys inside the 10 when he needed to. But I think like there's times where we're watching the game, like, do we have the worst punter in the league? Like, I feel like he's not making the kick returner, like the punt returner, go back to the ball and get it. Like I always feel like when we're playing against the other team that they're always running up to get the ball. And we talk about how poor our special teams are. I just think it was time, and if you can get a guy who's going to kick the ball 2 yards further and they think he's going to do a better job. And I think it's just one of those things that you just everything comes to an end at some point and you just move on. It happened with Robbie Gould, right? You got a guy who could kick a 40-yard field goal all day long through the uprights. But if you look around the NFL, the Aubreys of the world and some of these other guys, the Carlsons of the world that are playing Vegas, these guys are kicking 60-yard field goals where I think that's why we drafted a guy like Jake Moody with a big leg, is because we had the guy like Robbie Gould who's not going to kick you the 52-yarder. And look over the course of, I don't know the exact number, but if you watch so much football, how many more times do you see 50-yard field goals in the NFL now than you did say five or six? The 50-yard field goal used to be like a big thing. I play fantasy football, and you get 3 points for a 30-plus yarder, 4 points for a 40-plus yarder, and 5 points for a 50-plus yarder. Well, I'm going to go to our league this year, and we're going to need to bring the points down because the 50-yard field goal is so common, and it's common throughout the league where I feel like, you would know more than me, but I feel like 10 years ago, the 50-yard field goal was like the benchmark. Now you got Aubrey trying to kick 68-yard field goals, and he's got the length for it. It's like, it's insane to me.
What about like when you talk about that? It's like how many pitchers are throwing over 100 now?
Oh yeah,
or at least upper 90s. Like I remember guys throwing in the low 90s in high school that I played against, and that was insanely hard. And now, like, you watch a major league game, and they're like, "Oh, his fastball tops out at only 92," and you're like, But it's the thing. It's like, I think it's the same thing with kickers and just humans in general. The nutrition, the weight training,
bigger, stronger, faster,
all that stuff. It's those guys. The kickers, used to be the fat guys smoking cigarettes on the sideline and just, hey, I got to go kick. And now it's like those dudes are also supposed to be horses as well. And so I think that's part of it. But I
saw just one quick thing. You were saying like everybody that comes out of the bullpen or everybody that pitches in the MLB now, they're throwing 100 miles an hour. The guy from the from the Detroit Tigers, starting pitcher. Last name is Scooble. I don't know his first name. He's really, really
Yeah,
good
yeah.
pitcher. He threw a complete game through 97 pitches the other day. And his final pitch, you see what his last fastball was?
Yeah, it was
It was
like 103 or something.
103. Like, what in the world? Like,
Yeah.
thank God. Let's just say thank God I signed my contract in 2002 and not 2022, because my, my 7-year career would have turned into 7 months. So I'm very thankful.
Yeah, that's wild. Hey, on that note with Moody, like, is he next? I mean, that guy, in my opinion, has to not miss a kick in preseason at all. Like, not necessarily in practice, even though they judge those guys pretty harsh in practice.
But we did bring in that. What's the guy we brought in? The guy we brought in is the guy you brought up. That's what I was going to tell you too in the pod. We didn't talk about it pre-pod, and I wanted to bring it up and say kudos to you. When we were talking about our kicking woes, this was way earlier in one of our middle podcasts in the 10 region. We were talking about bringing kickers in, and you mentioned this guy's name. I'm drawing a blank. I can't remember his name. But this is what it's going to take is us bringing in competition for Jake Moody. It cannot be a position that he just owns without earning, and that's why you bring a veteran guy in there to push him, and then they're gonna. I'm telling you right now, if Jake Moody starts missing kicks in practices and in preseason, he's gonna lose a job. He's gonna get cut. That's just the way it is. That's the nature of the beast, because they can find somebody else. We saw it last year when Jake Moody got hurt for those 4 games. We brought 2 different kickers in. They did a fine job. There's plenty of good kickers out there, and you can't be missing 8 to 10 kicks a year and expecting to keep your job, no matter if you're a 3rd-round pick or not. So I think this is good that we brought in a secondary kicker in to push Jake Moody. And if kicking woes continue, you're going to see him get cut. That's just the nature of the beast, man.
I think there is a little piece to the 3rd-round pick stuff, right? I mean, if he's getting drafted in the 3rd round, I don't know how it compares to a position player, but he's making more money right off the get-go than other kickers that are just kind of starting out. You know what I mean? It's just like if you get drafted in the 3rd round as a, quarterback versus the 7th round kind of thing. So I think he started out. So again, like I said, with the punting piece, it's like those guys are in a way a dime a dozen. Obviously there's better players than other players, but when it comes to cost, you could save money by having a rookie kicker or a really young guy coming in and doing a great job, doing what he needs to do, but he's also on the cheap, and make him earn it versus
don't think we're not
going to
right. Don't think we're not going to move off a 3rd-round kicker because we moved off of Trey Lance, who we gave up 3 first-round.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying you hang on to him because he's a 3rd-round pick. That's the thing that makes the Niners look dumb again for drafting a kicker in the 3rd round. So anyway, well, we have to discuss off the pod, you and I, the weeks coming up. I'm headed on vacation soon. Next week we'll be around, but week after that it might be an island themed podcast from Coach and Kreuz. But we're gonna wrap it up this week, and you guys all, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we will be back next weekend with another podcast. Coach and Kreuz, have a great week, and school's out for everybody, and I'm out, and I think I'm going to go in my pool right now. I think that's what I'm going to do. It's going to be fun.
That's a great play. We got 4 days left of half days for Mr. Logan. The teachers have officially shut it down about 2 weeks ago. I think they're like going to the park one day. They're having a squirt gun fight one day. And they're like, let's just get this thing done and move on. And Logan's he's totally cashed out. He's ready to go. And we just booked our trip. I booked it on Thursday. We're going to Mexico. Me and Gabby go on our annual Cabo trip, August 1st. That's all booked and ready to go. And on that note, I got my 60-day little challenge thing starting up here on Monday. I was going to start it on June 1, but I always like to start it on a Monday. So I'm going hardcore. We're going the clean diet and all the stuff we talked about last week starting Monday. So got 60 days to get everything back in order before we head out to Cabo on August 1st, man. So
There you go. I just put in this Poipu Beach because I'm playing there on June 17th. I can't wait. And it's going to be awesome. Vacation's always awesome. And yeah, so we will see all you guys next week, and keep listening on all of the podcast networks out there. And Cruz, you have a great rest of the weekend, and stay cool.
Enjoy the pool, Coach.